Good evening once again, or day, whenever you view this. I'm coming to you from my compound somewhere within the state of Wisconsin. Um, I had a question asked by me of Adam's Woman Lost because I was given an idea to do one of the old vloggy vlogs, and I thought, why not? Um, we were talking about living in small towns, and I said the town I live in currently population's around 1,300 people, and she said, "Wow, that's small." Um, she asked, I said, what I lived in the country for 2 years. Uh, I've only lived in America, because she asked which countries. I've only lived in America, but I did live in the country, and I have a cat going crazy down at my feet. Um, try to get guest blogger or vlogger. I don't know, these vlogs, they seem to call it a vlog. It seems very vagina oriented. Um, I lived in the country, and 2 years on a farm. It was a horse farm, and that's one of the reasons why, if you ever comment about horses or write a post about your favorite little horsey, I'm going to give you a lot of shit, because I absolutely detested being on that horse farm. Um, Not so much because of the people, but because of those horses. They hated me. Um, I got bit. I got kicked. I, I had everything a horse could do to me. One time, throwing a bale of hay into their pen, I slipped on ice and landed on an electric fence across my chest, and I had a nice shocking experience. Uh, Old joke is old, but it did produce a nice welt across my chest, and of course I was standing on ice at the time, and our guest has arrived. Say hi. That's animal abuse, so report me. Anyway, this horse farm, it was a fun place, because the people that I lived with, they didn't give me any rules, so I pretty much did my own thing, staying out in the forest till dark, going on snipe hunts. Sometime if you want, I can take you snipe hunting. Um, but it was really fun. And then when the year I graduated high school, um, I still didn't have my own car, and one weekend my mom wanted me to come home because it was the weekend before I graduated high school. I would come home to prepare for the ceremonies or whatever they were planning on throwing. Um, and that Friday, it was a sad day for me because that was the day Frank Sinatra died. Really sad day. And it got worse because that that day there was all sorts of really bad weather in the area where I went to high school, and we were sitting eating supper before my mom picked me up, and they were talking about how tornadoes could not hit in the area because it was very hilly. The term they use for all these valleys cut out by glaciers, they call them coulees, Coulees, coulees. In fact, the area I lived in was called the Coulee region. Um, Also God's country, or at least that's what they'd have you believe, because a man once wrote that one of those towns along the Mississippi River in Wisconsin is the location of the Garden of Eden. Well, so this day it was very dark, dreary, stormy. Frank Sinatra died. just horrible day. And my mom comes and picks me up and says, "Come on, let's go. There's tornado watches out." And they all said, tornado won't hit here. Well, we had to drive through a flat area where tornadoes were notorious for hitting, so we wanted to get out there. We get going, and about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes into our journey, reports start coming in to the radio that the nearby town, or a tornado hit. So they were saying a tornado hit near this town, outside of the town, in the countryside. And I'm like, it couldn't have been where I lived. Well, sure enough, when I get home, watch the 10 o'clock news, there is the lady I lived with, who was watching me for my parents while I went to high school. She is talking about their barn being destroyed. And sure enough, they showed the area where the horse barn was. Luckily, when she heard this tornado warning, she let all the horses out of the barn and into the pasture. And the tornado came down this coulee. It came down one side of the hill and went up. They lived in the valley part, and the tornado landed right on their barn, and it collapsed on top of her. She had to hide under a manure spreader. The house had not horrible damage, but plenty. The only section of the house that did not have any damage was my room. And it was really, really interesting, because on the side of the house and the wall, there are all these plastic placards that you get when you buy plants from the greenhouse. Those were embedded into the wood paneling on the side of the house. Also, glass shards embedded into the eaves troughs. Really crazy time. And so it was, such an odd day. Frank Sinatra dying, and tornado struck the place where I was living. So that's one of the places, or a story about living out there. I don't think all of the stories I have are appropriate. Hat of the day, Boston Red Sox. Apparently, I'm a socialist. Book of the day, Adults Only Pub Jokes. I will read one. A Jew and a Chinese man are in a pub together. The Jew stands up, gives the Chinese guy a slap across the face. "What are you doing?" says the Chinese guy. "Well, that's for Pearl Harbor," says the Jew. "But I'm Chinese. The Japanese were responsible for that." Japanese, Chinese, all the same. They take their seats. Time passes. The Chinese guy stands up and kicks the Jew in the shin. "Hey, what's that for?" "Well, that's for the Titanic." The Jew then says, "But the Titanic was hit by an iceberg." Iceberg, Weisberg, they're all the same. And it's funny, I opened this book up, and there was an old lottery ticket in there. Obviously not a winner on two accounts, because you can't see it and I won't show it. I wrote a girl's number down on the back. Yeah, so I lost twice with that lottery ticket. Next book is the Lama Sutra. It's animals having sex, because that's the type of guy I am. If I can't have sex, then I'm going to look at animals having sex. So here we see two bunnies doing it, and the caption says, "Here comes Peter Cottontail." Funny. Here we see two cows. I frequently see this on my drive in the country. "Did you just say boo? Are you booing me? I mean, I'm doing the best here. And excuse me, moo. Oh, never mind." So, cows get freaky like that. Here are two kangaroos. And the female kangaroo is saying, Sigh, another shrimp on the Barbie. So that is the Lama Sutra. Thank you, Skinny Wolf and Wife. Drink of the day. I'm going something old school from my college days. Lake Made beer. And you can see, I'm not used to this. Lake Made beer by the fine people at Shells. That's why I like the bottle down there. They have women posing as fish. I don't know why that's hot, but it is. And then when you pop the top, you go fishing. So I popped this one. I caught a 49-pound muskie. Popped this one. I caught a 12-pound walleye. Popped that one. I got a 1.5-pound perch. This one, my net man blew it. And my favorite, I caught a tire. If you have any more questions for me, just send them my way and I will answer them. Have a good night.